I'm a bad motherfucker.
I do want to share that when back. Oh shoot, did I lose it? To your point, Keaton, Malcolm said you have kids precisely because we might face a post-apocalyptic hellscape, and you will need A, the protection, and B, the organs.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yes, nailed it.
And back to Russ.
All right, so this is just a quick, weird one. So we've talked a little bit on the show about the WEF. By the way, let's start again. I'm Russell Dobular, sitting in for Jimmy, who's performing in El Paso, Texas tonight, joined by Keaton Weiss.
Hello.
So this is a weird, fun one. So speaking of Bond villains, Klaus Schwab said some really weird stuff at the Young Global Leaders indoctrination session. He told the new recruits that their avatar will continue to live after they die, and that their brains will be replicated through artificial intelligence and algorithms. It's only for them, not the pores, folks. Don't get excited. So let's hear what he had to say.
You have the chance to look forward to a career of 50 years. And my own opinion, yeah, maybe more. You will get some injections and some and so on, and then don't forget your avatar will continue to live. So and your brain will be replicated through artificial intelligence and algorithm. So we don't know, but at least 50 years.
I mean, that's some of the creepiest shit from a guy who has no shortage of creepy comments that he's made over the years. So you want to know what you're up against? You want to know what the fight really is? It's not left versus right. It's not race. It's not sexuality. It's not gender. It is these people and the future that they want. The WEF, the Davos set, they want this automated technocracy, this oligarchy, where you will own nothing and be happy, and you have some form of immortality in an avatar that will simulate you forever. They already have something like that. I don't know why anybody would want this, but there's a company that will gather all the texts and emails of a deceased loved one, and through AI have it still talk to you. So I have no doubt that what he's describing will be possible sooner than you think. But that's a pretty terrifying vision of the future. And notice the kinds of people who would be at this leadership conference. Some of their alumni include Justin Trudeau, and I believe Macron was also went through that program. He says your career will be 50 years, and they cheer for that. That's who gets invited to this. Keaton?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's obviously creepy shit, but, I think, it's important to kind of remember that, when a lot of, economic theory that we debate nowadays was written, this was really not foreseeable, right? I mean, who knew, who knew in the 17, 1800s, early 1900s that this was going to be what humanity came to? I'm sure if a lot of these writers were writing now, I'm sure if Marx were alive now, he would factor this guy into his writings, right? There's this added complicating factor of a looming apocalypse. Not to open a can of worms from a previous segment, but that does factor into any sort of economic forecasting, because I believe that infinite growth on a finite planet is suicide. It's unsustainable, absent some deus ex machina, where we invent a way to suck the carbon out of the air, right? And so this is where capitalism goes once you add into the formulation the idea that expansion, indefinite expansion, not only is not virtuous and good, but it's not possible. It's not doable. And so if it's not doable, then eventually the central economic planners, be they communists or capitalists like this guy, they're going to have to factor that into their modeling 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, as he just said, years down the road. And so, this stuff is like, yeah, I mean, it's creepy, but I think you also have to put this in an economic context where you realize, okay, there are ways to explain this kind of behavior that do not necessarily require some, cartoonish vision of a smoke-filled room where evil people are plotting for evil and it's up to the good people to fight them. It's like circumstances make this kind of shit inevitable because you can't grow forever on a planet that will not sustain you forever. And the closer you get to that end point, the more you're going to start seeing capitalism take this kind of form. Not because they're not happy with the old way, but because they can't do the old thing forever. Because the world won't have it.
Well, I think what he's describing, the vision that he has, he's talking about the people in that room and, their immortality, their prolonged life with medical treatments. As I've said before, when you look at some of the trends being pushed by people like Schwab, healthy at any size, gender theory, I think they're trying to kill us off. I think they're trying to get rid of the rest of us for the reasons that you're saying.
Right. It's not right. Exactly. So, okay. So you could think that, and that's totally fine. That's cool. I get that. But that's the important piece of it, because otherwise this becomes like a comic book type of, situation where you have superheroes and Bond villains. And I don't think it's motivated by those sorts of like extreme moral convictions. I think it's more motivated by a changing reality, a reality that is hurtling towards the not necessarily the imminent end of humanity, but we've certainly, I think, peaked. And what happens on the way down? On the way down, the whole calculus changes because everything is inverted. Everything is inverted. When you start, during the early days of capitalism and the early days of communism, the presumption under both of those models is that labor and production are virtuous, right? Now, these competing economic systems had different ways of managing that, but they were managing an incline. Now we're talking about managing a decline.
Right.
And that's a different ball game altogether. Not to say those ideas don't apply, but they apply in different ways. This is getting to be an upside down kind of world.
Yes. I don't think it requires a belief that these people are meeting with robes in a subterranean cavern. I mean, they meet right out in the open. They say these things right out in the open. You will own nothing and be happy. They are evil, not in the metaphysical sense, but in the practical sense of what their vision for the world means for us. So yes, you are in an existential struggle with their vision of the world. Do they believe that they're doing the right thing? Frankly, I think they're encouraging us to kill ourselves off because they think it's humane. They think it's a more humane way to get rid of us, to have us eat ourselves to death or not reproduce through bizarre theories about gender and strange medical treatments that conform to those. So no, I don't think they're sitting there going, yeah, they're all going to suffer. Very few people are comfortable seeing themselves as a villain or not.
Why would they do it that way? They're doing just fine. They did just fine in the 90s. They did just fine in the they've been doing just fine. These people, the kinds of people who run these conferences, have been doing just fine for hundreds of years. Sure. They didn't all of a sudden make this pivot because they thought it'd be fun. They made this pivot because we've passed a point at which things are no longer looking up.
Right.
And this is uncomfortable for a lot of people to grapple with.
Sure.
which is why they concoct this cartoonish situation in their head where this is all about this evil cabal of people. It's out to get us, and we need a Batman to go get them. That is putting your mind, that's the blue pill. As much as you might think that's the red pill, that's not the red pill. That's the blue pill. The red pill is we've peaked. We're on the way out. How do these people maintain their position on a sinking ship? This is how. This is how.
Right. And that is something that I think the general population needs to fight against. You don't need Batman. You need people. You need real people.
Right, but you have to understand what you're up against, because when you paint things in terms of this cartoonish, conspiratorial black
Klaus
and white,
Schwab makes
the
it
moral
easy,
versus the amoral, or the moral versus the immoral, you misjudge the situation on the field, right?
So you're saying people need a Cybertruck if they're going to take on Klaus
exactly.
Schwab.
Exactly. No, you need to empower labor, right? You need to not retweet end wokeness when he says, look, a hamburger went up 20 cents because the workers are getting more. You have to fight for what's yours, and you have to fight against a divide and conquer agenda when it comes to foreign policy. You have to fight against the empowerments of certain nations at the expense of others to the point of genocide, which is what we're seeing now. You have to fight against things like NATO expansion, which obviously provoked this Ukraine war. But I think it's more helpful to view these fights in like terrestrial terms, as opposed to concocting very black and white myths and fables for ourselves, right? About this all being a cabal of evildoers doing evil for evil's sake, right? I don't think they're doing it for evil's sake.
No,
I think they are responding to a very sort of macro shift in the trajectory of the human race.
As our friend,
thank you and good night. How's that?
As our friend Nick Cruz might say, Mao did nothing wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, that is a week of shows. I will be filling in on Monday, although Jimmy may be sitting in on the show. And then I will be heading back to New York to get arrested at Columbia University or something. I will stick around for the super chats. Keaton, you are free to hug your children. Don't share your views with them. I beg you. They're too young for that. They're too young for that kind of
some watermelon.
Yeah, talk to those kids about their anti-Semitic watermelon consumption.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Thank you, Keaton. I will hang around for the chats.
All right. Bye, Keaton.
rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace, soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate shitty coffee? I, for one, really hate shitty coffee, which is why I'm excited to introduce to you a company that's revolting against shitty coffee, and it's called the 1775 Coffee Company. Now, I haven't had it yet because I only drink decaf. Steph has had it. Steph, how do you like it?
I really like it. I've been, you know what? I have a French press, and so I've been using my French press and totally enjoying it. It's delicious. It's smooth. It's smooth.
So 1775, the world in 1775, the world awakened to a new era. And now it's 1775 Coffee Company is bringing you a coffee that embodies that revolutionary spirit. Crafted with passion and precision, our beans are ethically and exclusively sourced from the finest coffee beans farms of Bolivia. Didn't know that. 1775 Coffee Company's farm-to-cup journey ensures the highest quality of authenticity and sustainability from start to finish. With each sip, your palate will recognize and appreciate the dedication and passion that goes into crafting this single-sourced brew. 1775 Coffee Company takes pride in offering customers a truly exceptional coffee experience with their premium coffee collection. But their dedication to this revolution extends beyond the realm of taste. Safeguarding freedom of speech is critical right now, which is why 1775 Coffee Company has joined forces with Rumble in defense of one of our most fundamental rights, freedom of speech. Coffee that's sure to awaken all your senses, including the sense of freedom. So choose 1775 Coffee by going to 1775coffee.com/litter. That's LITTER, and use the code LITTER for 10% off the checkout on your first order. 1775 Coffee, brewed to perfection, crafted with revolution.